So obviously we didn't get to the intro track this week, but I've got some time set aside for this coming week to do it.
We're both gonna take some time off work to do this.
Yeah, we're gonna do like a remote session and work on the track. Anyways, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Dipped in Tone, episode 6. I'm Rhett.
I'm Zach,
and we're trying something new this week. We have a Discord live chat going, so shout out to everyone who's listening to us live. That's a perk for our Patreon supporters. We got a handful of people in here hanging out, chatting with us while we're recording. Of course, my audio is apparently still choppy, but we'll work on that. We'll fix that.
Right. Yeah, this is a work in progress.
Yeah, but this is cool because we can interact with people in real time. So if you're interested in joining that up, you can join our Patreon for, what is it, $2 a month?
That's it.
Yeah, and that's helping support the show.
Yeah, we've got quite a few people that have signed up, and we're gonna keep working on finding new ways to connect with people and offer cool things. We're working on some merch and some stuff that's gonna be. We'll try to do some like Patreon exclusive stuff too. So.
Yeah. We got some merch ideas. Oh, speaking of merch, do you wanna show the logo? Are we ready to show the logo?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited about this thing, man.
Yeah, I'm. It was a lot of work from my dear friend Bill, and it's cool. I'm excited. I think it's gonna look great on some foil stickers.
Ooh. Yeah. Good call, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's new with you this week, Zachary?
Oh gosh. Well, I took off work. So I've just been hanging with the family, trying to not like go out in the garage and solder anything unless I have to. But that's been good. It's been weird. I'm starting to get like as of yesterday, I was getting kind of anxious because I hadn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
But most of my things are caught up, so it's just been, kind of nice to push the reset button, and all of the Mythos work that I have to do is pretty much tackled. And the delay pedal prototype that I've been working on, the analog delay, the boards arrived, so I sent them to my builder, and so hopefully in a few weeks I'll have a brand new analog delay that I can start. I'll send you one and a few around to see what people think. So I'm really excited about that. But that's basically it, that's good.
Do you have any more details to share on the analog delay?
Yeah, it's going to be, it's full analog. So it uses two 3205 chips, which is like the classic Japanese delay pedal chip, know? So it'll have around 600 milliseconds with a tap. The tap will be the only like programmed part of it, but it's basically going to be, the most simple analog delay that you can get with a tap. So just 3 knobs, time, mix, repeats.
How close is it going to be to this?
Well, that has 900 milliseconds of delay.
Okay.
So, but sonically, the way it's going to repeat and the way it kind of, because I feel like the Maxon AD999 has a nice hair around the repeats.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always on the cusp of kind of running away. So we kind of bake that into my new delay. So hopefully it'll be kind of like that, just with less delay time and a tap tempo.
Speaking of your delays, this is also your delay that I have to give back.
Long-term loan.
The last time we saw each other was like in February. Well, last time I was at your house was in February, and you were like, "Oh yeah, take these and borrow them for a couple weeks. You're going to be back in Nashville in a couple weeks anyway. You can just bring it back." And I haven't been back since February. So,
and the world stopped. So it's okay. I don't miss it. I really miss it.
Yeah. Well, I will just box this stuff up and send it back. Although I am going to be sad to see this thing go. I'll tell you what. I'll trade you your pedal back for one of your new delays. How about that?
All right, fine.
Great. So that's cool, man. What's it going to be called? Do you know?
Well, I made a delay. Well, I was working on a delay and I called it the Oracle, and then I canceled that. But since I already kind of made that name, I think I'm just going to call it the Oracle. So it's the old one was digital, had like, subdivisions and chorus and all that stuff. And it was cool, but I just like simple. So
Yeah.
the Oracle, and I don't know, it's gonna. It may even be like pinkish colored. I just like that sort of look. So
Right.
we'll see.
Nice. Well, that's cool. I had a pretty exciting week, somewhat. I got a new desk chair
Oh,
that I'm currently sitting in, so that's a thing.
good.
It is exciting because the previous desk chair I had, I've literally had since I was in middle school, and it finally gave up the ghost. So, yeah, that's
Was that the highlight of your week?
that's the height of my week, man. No, it was normal. You know, we're getting ready for the next Backstage Live show, October 10th, Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're doing a case study. It's the first of a new style of show we're calling case study, and I guess I'll announce it here. It's going to be a Jimi Hendrix case study. So essentially, the whole set is going to be Hendrix tunes as digested by this band. We're still working on the name. We have a couple
band?
of ideas. Skylark the Kid is one of them. Then I was talking to my grandpa the other day, and in the 60s, he and my grandmother both worked for the FBI in D.C. in the 60s, and that's where they met. And he actually played in a band around D.C., played rhythm guitar, and they were called the Avantes, which I think is super cool. And the part of the story that's cool is that he had to quit. The FBI came to him and told him that he had to quit because they found out that apparently the other band members were either connected to or part of the mafia. And so they were like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. So he had to quit his band.
That's awesome.
So I feel like as a tribute to my grandfather, I'd like to work maybe Avantes in there somewhere. I think that's a cool band name. So anyway, we'll see.
Cool.
Checking in on the chat here. Matt Lynn's asking, what are the first reactions to the new JHS line? We're going to get to that in a second. But anyway, so yeah, the Hendrix case study, it's basically going to be a whole set of Hendrix songs as digested by us and kind of an exploration of like the Hendrix sound and why we all love it so much. And we'll see.
That's going to be cool. Are you only going to play your Strat?
No, actually. So I'm going to play a Strat, and I'm going to play my Firebird tuned to D standard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which sounds righteous, man. Those Firebird pickups tuned down a whole step.
Cool. That's cool. I mean, I think I'm just excited for when you do a ZZ Top case study and I get the call. I'm invited.
Don't joke around with that. I'm telling you, I want you to come down and play. We have the channels, we have the inputs, and I don't like being the only guitar player.
Right.
Is Gibson letting me keep that Firebird? It's unclear. When I picked it up, I had to fill out a form. It's part of they have this program called ER or something. It's basically like their artist relation loan program. So like you're going on tour, they loan out a whatever 335 or whatever. So technically it's on loan, but they haven't asked for it back. And
that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. Well, that was in February. That was the day that I remember that you and I went.
That was
to
the last day
custom
we
shop
saw
together.
each other.
Yeah. And if they ask for it back, I'll probably buy it from them. To be honest, that guitar is badass.
Yeah,
and I really like it. So,
because it's Heather Miss Polly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of their NAMM guitars. And I don't know, man. I never knew until I got my hands on it, but I think I am a Firebird guy. They're weird. If you've never played a Firebird, like they're real weird. The whole guitar is shifted to the left. So if you think about a normal guitar like sitting in your lap, the first time I played a Firebird sitting down, where your hand naturally falls to strum the guitar is behind the bridge.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is shifted this way a little bit. So it takes a little getting used to, but man, that guitar kicks ass.
Yeah, they're a standing up guitar, in my opinion.
Chivalry says Justin Derrico had a Gibson on loan. They never requested it back. He's had it for 11 years or so, he says. I have a friend, Graham Whitford, who has a custom shop Les Paul that he's had for like 10 years that's on loan, and they've never asked for it back. So
It's fine. Brand ambassadors. It's all good.
Anyways, so we're talking pedals today.
Okay.
All
right. Well.
I see it. So you're a pedal builder. I'm a pedal player. This week, there's been 2 new pedal announcements that have come out that are on 2 completely different ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
There's an interesting discussion. Do you want to talk about the first thing you and I were talking about the other day?
Yeah. So for those that maybe aren't aware, Chase Bliss has started this new series with basically collaborations. I guess I don't know down the road what they're all going to be, but it's the Automaton, which was a collaboration with Benson, has all the sliders. It's super programmable. It does all sorts of stuff. And then the next one is a collaboration with Maris, and it's the CXM 1978, which is basically like a studio reverb with every bell and whistle possible. And they had talked about it. I think that was maybe shown before the Automaton. And it's been in the works for ages, and they finally announced the pre-order. And I got quite the sticker shock when I saw how much that thing was retailing for. I was pretty taken aback.
How much is it going for, Zach?
$900. I mean, I it's a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
I thought the Automaton is it $700 or $800?
I think it's $750. Someone in the chat can correct us. It's
yeah.
I think it's $750.
Yeah. I thought that was a little high. I mean, I understand it's not your average pedal with this normal off-the-shelf parts. It's by no means that. But it's a lot of money. Considering, and this is something we'll get into, the availability of so many great digital things that can do so much in a comparable price, a cheaper price, or have a higher price and can do way more than is even possible. So,
hot take. What do you? I mean, have you saw the Knobs demo, right? I think he's the first like kind of demo that came out about it, right?
I saw the Knobs demo, and I don't understand his demos exhaust me a little bit. So when you sent it to me and I started watching it, I was just like, I was bored immediately. So I was like skipping through, and it just sounded like a bunch of noises. So like, to me, I need to see a demo of someone just saying, here's a setting, play a chord, and hear the thing. Like, hearing it in context sometimes I don't feel is the best way to dip your toe into understanding how something works. So
dipped your
tone toe.
Yeah.
But I need to like watch a little bit more about it. But to me, I don't care, because it's something I have no interest in using. I don't need that much reverb. Like, it has no place in anything I'm doing. So I don't care. Like, so I don't know, that seems harsh, but like, if you're not a compressor guy, why would you watch videos about compressors? If you don't play acoustic guitar, why would you watch acoustic guitar videos? I don't use that much reverb. So I don't really care about this crazy reverb pedal.
Yeah. It's a fair point. I mean, I don't think it's harsh. I think it's an honest opinion. So I have a different perspective on it. And this is why I think we work well together as a dynamic duo here, because you and I are very different in our tastes. So I watched the Knobs video and really dug it. I like what, I think his name is Scott. I like what he does on guitar because it's so different than what I do on guitar. His, like, his sound is so textural and granular in a way, I think is the best way I would describe it, which is probably a terrible way to describe it. But so I liked the demo. I thought it did a good job of conveying what that Chase Bliss Maris thing does. I want to back up for a second, though, and talk about the preamp Mark II. The preamp Mark II is expensive at $750-something. Chat, you're letting us down. Somebody was supposed to tell us how much it is. It's $750-something. It's really expensive, but I could justify that to myself based on the amount of things that pedal will do and what it does well. I think it's a great preamp. It's a tone shaping EQ. It's a great sounding fuzz. And even in just the category of fuzz, it can do the silicon thing, the germanium thing, the super smooth fuzz face thing, the super spitty kind of thing. It's a great sounding overdrive. You can throw an expression pedal on it and turn it into a wah. Matt says 750. He checked. Cool.
Right.
So I think at $750, it's expensive, but I think you are getting quite a bit for your money. The Reverb thing at $900, I don't really get it. I think, well, I do and I don't. I think when I texted you yesterday about it, my immediate justification was, oh, this is a studio tool. This is essentially like they're emulating a like a piece of rack gear from the late 70s, some of the early digital reverbs from the late 70s and early 80s. And they're putting it in a different form factor with the flying faders and all that kind of stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't see the market for that, though, right? Because if you think about, okay, well, if it's more of a studio grade piece of gear, which might justify the price, well, why would you buy a piece of hardware like that when there's plugins now that do these sounds really, really well for much less money?
Yeah.
And then on a pedal board, if you know, so some specs on it: stereo in and out, 32-bit, A to D conversion, right? So it's 32-bit. I mean, it's a studio grade reverb, 100%. Like it's not a pedal for your pedal board. It's a full on studio grade reverb. But I wouldn't then put that on my board to go like in front of my tube amp.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And that was something that I said. It's like the majority of people that are going to eat these up are not going to be, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the most people that are going to get these are going to be the dude that has no way to justify that, you know? I mean, I feel like a lot of pedals are overkill. And I mean, looking at it from a financial standpoint, you know, like, because the thing I said yesterday is like, you know, you're going to have a 900 pedal running through a $10 cable to like a $400 amp. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that do that. And I think that's kind of, we need to like keep everything in check a little bit. And it's fine if you know, I'm not trying to say you're not allowed to spend your money how you want to spend it. I just think keep things realistic, you know. But I don't know. I need to play it. I would love to play it. Honestly, the Automaton thing, or the Benson preamp, whatever it's called. When I first saw that, and I saw your video, and I saw some other stuff about it, I thought, you know, But when I saw that pedal show actually comparing it, and I'll link this, to other circuits and how close it could get to a Klon and a Screamer and a Blues Breaker, it's like, oh, okay, wow, that's a little bit more interesting, because that to me justifies the price. You know, a Klon, if it could get a Klon sound, there you go. More than reasonable spending $750 versus $2,000, you know?
Right.
And then you have all these other sounds. But the reverb thing, you're right. I just don't see who the end user, you know, who are they trying to target with this thing?
Well, I think you and I aren't their target audience, which is why we don't get it.
Who is though? Like who I don't.
The preamp thing, I think you're right. I think the preamp Mark II, even at its price, is one of the best pieces of gear to come out this year. It's amazing. If anyone has the means and they're interested in something like that, I would recommend it. especially if you could find one used floating around. But the reverb thing to me is just I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like I don't see the target audience here, and at that price point, I think it's hard to justify for a guitar player.
Yeah.
I think if you're a producer, I have some friends that are producers and songwriters, and they have amazing studio setups. Those are the people that I would see going for this kind of thing. But even in that context, you're using plugins a lot of times. You're using, I don't know. It's just a different thing for me. I will say, I think they're going to sell. I think they're going to do really well with these.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, have they missed with any product that's any of their last products?
No. And Chase Bliss, man, Joel, those guys at Chase Bliss, I think are really, I think they're killing it with their stuff. It's like everything they put, every time they put something out, it's like it just creates a buzz, and it's something cool and unique. And even if you don't get it, right? Like the mood, I have a mood. I don't get the mood, but I like playing it. It's cool. It's a lot of fun to play, and it's inspiring to play. The blooper is not really for me, but something like the tonal recall that looks sick, or the brothers or whatever,
Yeah, they are discontinuing some stuff. I think they're discontinuing the brothers and the Condor, and I feel like they're discontinuing something else. Because they're not selling as many of those, and it's hard to keep, a product going when it's just hanging on. It's a lot of money that you have to invest just to, for parts and enclosures and stuff. So I get it, and I think that's probably a smart move, because the brothers is a cool overdrive, but you don't really see them, on a lot of boards.
Yeah. So, I mean, from a pedal builder's perspective, what do you think about, because Chase Bliss pedals are so complex, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's going to lead into the next thing.
I feel like they are kind of overkill, and I feel like most people don't use Chase Bliss stuff to its full potential. I think whenever I have seen people use it to its full potential, it's been very impressive. Like, I saw Joey Landreth play the Basement once, and I can't remember which Chase Bliss pedal he had. I think it was the Therme, and he was like down on the floor, like switching things on the fly and like making things happen, and it was amazing. Like, it was incredible. But most people are just going to use these pedals as pretty standard pedals. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, let's keep things in check and keep things realistic. Like, can you justify this to yourself? Like, I would argue that most people don't even use timelines and all those to their full potential.
Right.
And most of the time it's kind of a status thing. It's kind of like, I'm part of the club now.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I do that.
Yeah.
But I do think that, we just got to remember, like, get something that's going to inspire you, but is useful to you first and foremost.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right on that. For me, the most recent example of that is the Night Sky. That's not something that I would be able to justify buying for myself. The type of player that I am and the things that I do. And I talked about this in the video I made for it. It's like, it's a cool thing to have floating around the studio for those interesting kind of sounds. But for most of what I do, the Big Sky or the Ventress or, any number of other like reverb boxes will do the things that I want and need and find inspiring to do. So to me, I see this Chase Bliss as kind of the same thing. Like, it's cool. I don't know that I would be able to justify spending the $900 on it, because you have to think, like, $900 can go a long way in the guitar rig world. So you kind of have to weigh your options. Like, where are you at? So if somebody came to us and said, hey man, I've got an overdrive and a boost and a wah, and I'm thinking about buying this reverb, I would say, no, you should. There's so many other things you should, I think, get before you spend $900 on one pedal. But if somebody's got a little bit of everything and they want something that's different and unique and that excites them and that it thinks it's going to inspire them and they're real like stoked on it, by all means, man.
Yeah. I try myself to not fall victim to hype. And I feel like in the guitar community, I do okay at that, but
right.
You know, it will get hold of you, and like the hype leads to gas, and then you just have to, you know, find a way to get it on a credit card and pay for it.
I just heard Yoda when you said that. Hype leads to gas.
Gas leads to hate.
Oh my God. Okay. That's a t-shirt right there. Hype leads to gas.
Hype leads to gas.
We need to finish that phrase. Hype leads to gas. Gas leads to, yeah. Finish that. So speaking of hype, JHS dropped some new stuff today.
Yes. I am kind of surprised because I heard about this a few weeks ago. Like someone sent me a picture of like a leak of it. And I'm going to be honest. I thought that's not real. That's just somebody like made this on the do-it-yourself Stompbox page and is having a laugh. And then this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, it's real.
Yep.
So
it's real. I have them.
Oh, you have them.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
So it's the JHS 3 series.
Mm-hmm.
So take what we were just talking about with the Chase Bliss Maris Reverb, and now we're on the complete other end of the spectrum. Okay. So Chase Bliss has put out these pedals, the 3 series, and
whose handwriting is that?
I'm not sure.
Oh, man.
It might be Josh's, actually.
No way. Joshua
Heath Scott. I will say I'm actually pretty excited to have these because this is just stupid, nerdy uselessness, but these have no serial numbers on them.
Oh, man.
So essentially,
Reverb.
What we have here is a line of pedals that are the most basic. I mean, by the time you've heard this podcast or watched this on Monday, you will have seen this. But for people in the chat, these are like super bare bones, basic circuits that retail for, I think, like $100 or something.
They're all $100.
Yeah, dude, this is great.
Yeah, have you played them yet?
No, I haven't had time. I legitimately haven't had time. I haven't had time. The Tube Screamer you sent me like 3 weeks ago. Haven't had time. I'm sorry. Everyone at me in the comments and tell me what a terrible person I am. I'm sorry. I haven't played them yet, but I love the idea, and I think more companies need to be doing this kind of thing. Super accessible, great sounding pedals.
So, funny enough, I had been working on some stuff like that.
Uh-oh.
And I mean, like, it's not a new idea, like making a cheap line of pedals. Mine was a little bit different, but I had 5 or 6 circuits already like roughed out in the computer, like ready to get some prototypes made. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then this morning I was like, damn it. Like always missing the boat.
Well,
but it's super smart. It's so smart for them to do this.
I think it's smart for anybody to do this. I think it would be smart for you to do this. Jump on the train, man.
Well, you know, I think, okay, I think that it can be smart. I think it depends on your brand because like JHS is arguably one of the most well-known pedal companies in the world.
Yep.
After Boss and Ibanez, I'd say JHS is probably sitting right there. Electro Harmonics, you know, like they're in the top 5.
Yeah.
And they have such a wide reach, and their YouTube channel is just exploded. So I think it's super smart for them to say, hey, here's this budget line of pedals that gives you your foot in the door to our brand for a really reasonable price. I think that works. I think, if Analog Man did this, and he kind of does, he does the Prince of Tone, but if he did like a $99 Sunface, that would hurt his brand.
Ooh,
So, it's an interesting thing, but I think for them, they're going to sell 1 million of them.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really good point I had not considered. And you're totally right. It's about your brand. I think Bill Finnegan came out with like a $75 Klon.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah, all the KTRs would plummet in price. It cheapens things, but I think it's really smart.
Theories in the chat says Prince of Tones are hard to get now, shot up in price on Reverb. That speaking of, that might be because of the Analog Man video that Josh just made like last week. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did, and I'm sure that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
Because a Prince of Tone you can get new for like $120-ish or something, because they're made in China. But they're or maybe I don't know if they're made in China. They're made overseas.
Yeah.
They're fine. I had one. It's fine. But yeah, I think it's all about making sure you keep your brand identity, solid.
I think you're right. And for JHS, I think this is a really good move. And I think for the guitar community as a whole, it's a really good move to have circuits that are accessible, that sound really good. This is going to be able to get people into this side of the guitar world much easier. When I think back to like 10 years ago when I started buying pedals, first of all, I didn't know anything. And this was like right at the beginning of like YouTube gear demos. I mean, you had Andy at Pro Guitar Shop doing stuff. We should get him on the show, man. That'd be amazing. But I learned about pedals and stuff by just going down to Atlanta Discount Music and talking to Jimmy down there, who's still there. Shout out to Jimmy, Atlanta Discount. And I literally didn't know anything. And he kind of like took my hand and walked me through everything. And the first overdrive I bought was the ZVEX Box of Rock, which was amazing.
Nice. That's a good first overdrive.
Yeah. And then I bought an exotic BB preamp, which is another great.
Man, your first pedals were way better than mine.
Well, yeah, but it was like I could afford to buy like one pedal every
year,
3 months. Yeah, 3 to 6 months, I'd buy one pedal. So like the first year I started buying pedals, my board was the Box of Rock and the T-Rex Tone Bug Reverb. Do you remember those little Tone Bug series things?
They were like a step above the Dan Electro stuff.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, they're not good.
But that's what I could afford. And so like when I look at this kind of stuff, it's like, oh man, $99. I mean, you could walk in if you had $300, if you could save $300, you could put together a pretty bare bones but usable rig for $300 with something like that.
Yeah, totally. And like when I started out, my entry into guitar pedals, as far as, because that was 20 something years ago, was the Dan Electro things. I mean, like the MXR, whatever, they were around, but in my small town, like the only place to get pedals was either at the dealer that had PV pedals, which but at it was either Sam Goody or whatever it was before it was Sam Goody. They had guitar stuff and they had the Dan Electro pedals, and they actually had like the little plastic pedal board with all of them, and you could bring your guitar and play. And so that was where I first played like a chorus and a tremolo,
right?
And like what JHS is doing with this line, it's just right out of the gate. You have better quality all around in a product that's gonna, unless you break it or you put just the wrong electricity to it, it's gonna last forever.
Right.
Those little Dan Electro things, if you moved them the wrong way, the knobs would just pop off.
Right.
It's like, it's incredible. And what this is going to do for their brand is just, people are going to say, man, I want this overdrive. And then, 6 months to a year later, they're going to get a Morning Glory, or they're going to get a double barrel or whatever. It's just, you're locking in that user base to your brand. And I should have done it.
Well, Again, man, I think you should. I don't see why you shouldn't. I think that that could work for your brand as well. Because when I think about Mythos, I think of Mythos pedals as like really solid, great sounding, great looking pedals that are not inaccessible, but they're not like bare bones kind of, entry level Guitar Center kind of stuff, right? You're kind of in that like mid market, which I think is what you're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think for you, it could be cool to offer like, maybe not a full line, because there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pedals in here, right? A chorus, a fuzz, a delay, a reverb, overdrive, distortion, and compressor, right? So it's like a whole. You could build a whole rig.
It's a whole pedal board.
$700.
Yeah,
still less than that Chase Bliss. You could buy every one of those pedals, a power supply, and put it on a cheap pedal board for the price of that reverb.
Oh. I mean, dare I say, I think I could get a guitar and an amp and one pedal and do a gig with the same amount of money it would cost to do that. Chase Bliss pedal.
Yeah. Matt in the chat is asking, do you think the quality is just as good as these new ones as their higher price pedals? Do you think the higher prices are still worth it? That's a good question.
I think they are using the same stuff. Well, okay. Hold on. Let me back up. JHS, I have seen their schematics. Like Josh and I have talked. I think from a hardware standpoint, it's going to be exactly the same. Same switch, same pots, same jacks.
Yeah.
It's simpler. I mean, one thing like Rhett can show, the power jack is it's not wired. It's on the board. Literally everything's on the board.
If that'll focus.
There's like there's a reverb, a ribbon cable, that connects the board with has all the pots and stuff to the foot switch board with the jacks and the foot switch. So there's no off-board wiring with these. They just fall in a box. Really easy to make. Simpler than the normal JHS line of stuff.
Right. And they are being made at their shop in Kansas City.
Well, they're doing, I mean, I do take a slight issue with that because, they're being assembled there. I don't know if
Should I crack this one open?
If you want.
Let's do it.
You're probably just going to see the backs of the circuit boards. I'm sure the circuit boards, unless they have acquired a pick and place machine, they are probably getting the boards done for them, which is fine. That's what 90% of all other pedal builders do. But I feel a little weird sometimes because I've taken off like assembled in Nashville and all that from most of my stuff. I say I'm based outside Nashville, but I feel like that's a little hinky. But I know they're doing the final assembly and the testing and all that at their facility, which is fine.
All right,
but where do you draw that line? If a circuit board is made, in another state or in another country, but it's all being put together here in the States, where do you say it's made?
Well, actually, I had an interesting discussion on the Tone Talk show with Dave Friedman about that a few weeks ago, a few months ago now.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but he was saying that in order to say made in USA, apparently, someone can correct me on this, but the way I remember having the conversation was apparently to be made in USA, I think all or a portion of the components have to be made in America. So that means like for an amp, he was saying for like Friedman amps, they can't say made in USA.
Right.
Because they're getting their components and everything from China, their transformers or whatever. So even though the amps and everything are built in California, you can't say made in USA.
Yeah, all the components. I mean, and I'm talking the good quality stuff. It's all made overseas. If you had caps made in America, and I've bought I buy paper and oil caps for my guitars, and they're wound in America. They're $20 a piece.
Right. All right. So here's the board.
It looks just like some other.
Man, something's up with my camera. I was filming a video. There we go.
There it
Filming a
goes.
video yesterday, and it just won't focus for some reason. So yeah, you're right. It's just the back of the board.
Yeah, so everything, all the components are on the other side, which, and one thing too, I think one of the reasons why these are affordable is JHS with their own circuits, they're taking classic stuff and working on it. You know, they're trying to
Yeah.
make it better. And that development is partly why you get the price point. By the looks of these, they're taking fairly common classic circuits, tweaking them a little bit to make it work in this form factor, and putting it out. So it's
Yeah.
like you don't have that, 6 months, a year of, working on the perfect this or that. It's just like, oh, this overdrive, does it sound good? Cool. Print it, you
Yeah.
know?
Right. But again, the trade-off of that is, yeah, you're not getting something that is in any way boutique or, exclusive or any of that kind of stuff, or unique, really.
Yeah.
But the trade-off is they're really accessible. And I think for people who are first getting into this world, these kind of things are really, really cool because you can afford to experiment and try new stuff. I remember like early on going to shops and like really sweating over, man, should I buy this pedal? Like I like it playing it here in the shop, but God, it's like $300 and
Right.
what if I don't like it and then I have to sell it and then I'm going to lose money and all that kind of stuff and it's not just JHS. There's other companies that are doing this like more affordable, accessible thing. With this, it's like you can afford to throw, or at least it's a lot easier to be able to afford to throw $99 into something to see if it works, especially for like, the overdrives and fuzzes and everything. I think they'll do well with, but sort of more the modulation stuff. Like if you're not sure about
Yeah.
a chorus, but you want to try out like a good analog-ish chorus pedal, I think that's a cool place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too is like if you need that sound and you don't want to spend an arm and leg on it, there you go.
Yeah.
Like that's something that, whenever when I worked at Carter, we had a lot of the Moore pedals.
Yep.
And we wouldn't sell them that often, but the ones we did sell were the weird ones, like the flangers and the octave and stuff, because somebody was like, well, I got this one track and I'm doing, I just need the sound for like a few bars.
Yeah.
And so they get that instead of a POG or, whatever.
Right.
Because it's, $50-$60.
Right. Yeah. It's worth it for that one thing. So yeah, man, I think they're going to do well. And the other side of this too, that Josh, because they sent these to me a while ago and he and I were talking and we took a short break from talking about bicycles to talk about pedals. And he said, and I want your thoughts on this. They announced them today and there's already, I can't remember. There's already like several thousand of them are already like at dealers and ready to buy.
I think he said 10. I thought I saw 10,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but I could be off base. We'll correct it if we're wrong.
Yeah.
But for now, for sake of conversation, 10,000 they've already. So it's not a thing of like, hey, we're launching them and then they'll be available in November. Like, no, man, they launched them today and you could go to a store and buy one. That seems like that took some logistical doing.
Well, JHS is a big company, and honestly, those pedals, the reason they're so cheap is they're not hard to make.
Mm.
So if you had dedicated people just putting on foot switches, jacks, and stuffing enclosures, I mean, for example, for me, whenever I build stuff, and most of my stuff is kind of built in a similar way, it just falls in. I'm actually going to a little bit more of a labor-intensive method that's, I don't know. I'm excited about it, but it's going to be a little bit more work. But if I have everything prepped, I can build 60-ish in a day. Just me. So if you have a team that's doing this, you can really, you can earn out hundreds a day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take long to do that. And, JHS have people that have stations, and so one person does one job and they pass it on. And you can make some stuff pretty quick. So it's definitely a lot of things to get built and to get shipped. It's a lot of shipping. But man, I think they're going to sell out, not sell out, but they're going to sell a ton of stuff today. It's going to be a good day for guitar stores.
Oh man, I know this sounds like a commercial. It's really not.
No, this is how it is.
Yeah, it's just how it is, and it's a cool thing. You know, I think it's good for the guitar community. I'll be excited to see what people say about him, what guys like, you know, that pedal show think about him. I probably won't make a video, to be honest. I'm kind of in this place with my YouTube channel where I don't know, I feel like being done with making pedal videos.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we talked about before, but it's like, I don't know, like I don't really even watch them. I watch that pedal show just to hear Dan and Mick talk about other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That light behind me died, and so my room just looked like I'm in a cave.
Oh my god! Just set your phone up behind you, like have it shooting at the back wall. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like from like a personal perspective, I'm not enjoying making that type of content that much as I used to. Like, you know, I used to make these videos getting really in depth on a piece of gear, and it was like really exciting and fun for me to make. And the thing about my YouTube channel is if I don't enjoy making the video and I don't want to make the video, I'm not going to.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, that's why we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but that's why I don't do like paid stuff really.
Yeah.
Other than, you know, getting paid in gear, which is a form of payment. So yeah, but the pedal thing, I just feel like there's so many other people now that are doing a better job than me at it. Other channels that are coming up, and then more established channels like that pedal show. I'm kind of getting into a place where I want to make other content, like the you know, what is the sound series.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's really exciting right now, and I'm having a ton of fun making that stuff.
And it's very interesting that the PAF one that you just dropped is great. And like, there's not a lot of people doing that apart from like Throwback themselves, who is a guest on the video. You know? Yeah, that
was really cool actually. So you're the one that hooked me up with him, and with John from Throwback, and yeah, I think that kind of content there's a whole it doesn't really exist in YouTube, at least in the way that I'm doing it, and I'm having a ton of fun because I'm learning. It's like a musical anthropology kind of thing.
I love that store.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't really hear what you just said because you dropped out.
I said, I love that store.
Oh, okay. Now that is funny. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I realized I just said, yeah.
Womp.
Chivalry in the chat says, Rhett, do you feel it's because you found the gear that works for you, so new gear doesn't really speak to you as it once did? That's a really good question. No, actually. Like, I still find gear really exciting. I still get excited and stuff about new gear, but I think it's more about like the content itself, you know. So I'll shout out this new channel that I found. Cyber Attack. So this is what I'm talking about when I say like I think there's people out there doing it better than me. Cyber Attack, this dude named Ivan. I shouted him out in the Night Sky video last week. He makes these videos, and they're not like gear reviews or demos or anything, but they're focusing like how to be advanced on a specific pedal. He just put one out this morning on the Boss Harmonizer. Yeah. I think what he is doing is so incredibly unique and cool and fascinating and informative that I watch his stuff and I just feel like, oh yeah, I don't need to make any video remotely close to that because it won't be as good or as cool as what he's doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's I think cool is subjective. No, I mean it's funny. It's interesting. I could see myself watching his channel more for entertainment than education.
Yeah, it is. It is like an entertainment kind of thing. He's a great player. Ivan is his name. He's a great player. And the sounds that he gets I find really inspiring. We'll link his channel.
Yeah.
He's at like under 1,000 subscribers right now, so I feel like we should show him some love and send some people his way.
With our 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So I don't know, the gear video thing, I'm just not as interested in making that kind of content at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll get back to it eventually, but
right. Yeah. Man, I don't see how you could do it like in a demo way. Cause even for me, like just demoing my pedals, like I haven't done demos of the new art yet. Like all the pedals have, well, they will have all new artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And I've demoed the Mjolnir like so many times, and the Chupacabra every time I make a new version. It's like what do you even play, you know?
Yeah.
And when I sit down to do it, it takes me all day just to sit in here and like, you know, plink away, like trying to find something that's like inspiring where I can get 2 minutes of like, oh, this sounds good, you know, go buy it.
Right.
But man, like I don't think I could do that either. You know, I don't see how people do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, but I don't know. So all that to say, I probably won't do a video of like the JHS line stuff.
You'll use them in videos. And
yeah, they'll be around and I'll use them and probably throw them on a board. That's the fun thing about the Backstage Live show is I essentially get to use all this stuff in the context in which it was supposed to, because I think that's the other thing too that I don't like about it. It's like I really miss playing live.
Yeah.
And like working. I really miss working right now, like going to rehearsals and traveling and so I'm really fortunate and really privileged to have all this gear, and I feel this sort of like tension and frustration right now of like I'm not like I don't want to use it just to make YouTube videos. Like I want to use it. And so for me that's a big part of the Backstage Live thing that I find really fun is I get to, you know, play.
Yeah.
So yeah, this stuff will get used. Like for that Hendrix show, I'm using one of the JHS that Fuzz Face clone that he put out.
Sure, the Smiley.
Yeah, the Smiley.
Yeah. I still haven't played those.
They're good, man.
I want to. You know, it's funny, like I get messages because like living in the pedal world, you know, I think everyone expects me to play everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to continually remind people, like, unless someone gives it to me, like, I don't really go to guitar stores to like play stuff. I don't really go to guitar stores that much anyway. I go to Carter's to like just talk to my friends, but
right.
Like, you know, I just see videos like everyone else does. I mean, I have opinions, but like very rarely do I get things in the mail unless it's from a really close friend, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I buy stuff, but now I'm at the point where the stuff I buy is usually because it's a really particular weird thing.
Yeah.
And mostly the stuff I'm buying now is related to the live stream. So it's like DIs and XLR cables and fun stuff like that.
Oh, man.
But yeah, like that Polaris, the Spaceman Polaris I bought a couple weeks ago. I bought that because it does a really cool thing that nothing else I really know of or have does, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's always fun to find something new and interesting that like does add inspiration that you kind of stumble across because you'd never even heard of that pedal, had you?
No.
Like, yeah. See, that's awesome. But very rarely do I go to like I'd never go to a guitar store to like, I'm going to try some pedals. Like, what do I don't need pedals, you know? Like last week we talked about that pedal book, the one that the Knobs guy did.
Yeah.
Pedal Crush.
Pedal Crush.
And everyone was like, are you going to get it? Like, no. Like, why would I get a book about pedals? Like, I know these. If like I have a question, I'll just like text Nick Greer, like, hey, is this thing, what is this thing? You know, like, I don't know.
Nick Greer. What a great guy.
Oh man. He's such a character. I love him.
I love him. I really love him.
Yeah.
He's one of the people that we live an hour away from each other, but the only time I ever see him is at NAMM.
Right.
But he's just the friendliest, coolest, most down-to-earth guy ever. He's one of the coolest people in this industry I know.
Yeah, totally. He always hops on the live streams and people ask, when are you going to do a collaboration? I was like, Like, we don't know, but I am trying to convince him to help me design my Mythos amp.
Yeah. So where are you at with that?
What I just said, that's about as far as I've gotten.
Got it. Okay, cool. Do you know what, like, do you have it conceptualized at all or what?
It'll be a combo.
All right.
No, I mean, really, no, I want something, I just want to make kind of like my dream grab and go amp. I mean, not that I really have anywhere to go right now, but, like something that's kind of a high headroom tweed amp with a little bit more bells and whistles that would function well with the aux, and just like have just like a little amp that has enough power and isn't heavy and sounds good, something tweedish, but like in the 30-ish watt range.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, it's like, sounds like you're just describing a Tweed Deluxe, but
no, more power. Because like I like the Tweed Deluxe, but I don't like how it falls apart when you really push it. And honestly, I don't really like tube rectification because I like the immediacy of solid state rectification. I mean, you can have a little less sag, but that's usually higher wattage. So like there's a few little things. I mean, like, I don't know, that it's all just spinning around in my head and I don't know how to get it out. But honestly, Dick doesn't have time to mess with anything I would do.
That reminds me of recently I played. So speaking of gear that I want to buy, the Morgan JS12, the Josh Smith, little tweed combo thing.
That's kind of what I want to make. Maybe I should.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're describing. It sounds really good, man. It sounds really, really good. They have one at Righteous. Actually, I think it just sold, but I'm kind of looking for that same thing. Just a small little combo, tweed Fender-esque. I think we have a mutual affinity for the tweed thing.
Yeah.
In fact, that was going to be my video this week. I was going to do what is the tweed sound, and then my tweed blew a power tube in the middle of filming the intro. So I was recording the Brown Sugar intro, and because that's what he would have used on that first record, right?
There's no actual record of what he used. I mean, to me, it sounds like a Brown Face Deluxe or maybe a Super or something. But I mean, tweed, it's so close to that,
Yeah. It sounds
maybe.
real tweedy to me. So I started recording that. I got through the first rhythm track, and then the guitar or the amp just started like while I was playing.
Oh man.
Great.
The best sounds I've ever heard in my life have been tube amps that are about to die. Like we had it was like a Blackface Princeton, I think. And I was playing it and it was just gnarly, dude. It sounded so awesome. And then it just went and it blew all the caps.
Nice.
It's like, yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, so tweed amps, I think that, to me, I get excited most when it comes to gear. I get really excited about amplifiers. I love amps. Amplified Nation just sent me another one to check out.
What?
It's their Ampliphonics and Gain, so it's like the Ultraphonics kind of thing.
Right.
I'll send you a picture of it. And maybe you can put it up in the video if you want. But it's black suede. Oh, it looks badass.
Nice. I've been following him on Instagram and like commenting and hoping that he'll be like, "Hey, do you want to try an amp?"
He's been slinging them out, man. It's I think Taylor's trying to like get his name out there, and I think it's working. But yeah, I think like he's been sending them. I've got a couple right now, and again, this is one of those things in the gear world where it's like unclear. Is this on loan? Is this like I don't know. So I'd be happy to buy one. I want to try out this Ampliphonics and see how it compares to that one over there.
Wonderland.
What is that one called? Oh, the
Wonderland.
Jesus Christ. Words are hard sometimes. But yeah, he's been slinging them around to. RJ's got a couple. Mark Agnesi, I think, just got one.
Yeah.
So it's clear what the marketing move is right now
Yeah.
over there at Amp Nation.
Just real quick, speaking of Mark, I think we should talk about this Gibson Slash collection because
Oh yeah, we
that
should.
video just dropped, and I don't know about you, I'm feeling slashy.
I'm not.
No, I'm not
feeling
either.
slashy.
Man, oh man,
Yeah. Okay.
I've
There's
got them pulled up on the internet. I'll drop in some pictures.
I want to hear your hot take on this first before I give my hot take.
My hot take is who gives up about Slash anymore? Like, I just like don't understand why Gibson like just backs into that corner so hard. Like, I get it. He's famous. He played in a band a long time ago and people still like him. And like, you know, cool, whatever. But like they've made Slash Model Les Pauls for how long? You know,
A long time. Yeah.
I just don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. So you know why they're doing it? Because they're gonna sell a shitload of them.
You think?
Yes. Yes, they are. So here's the deal. I don't get it either. I think to answer your question, who gives an F about Slash anymore? I think a lot of people do. I'm not a Slash. I'm not a Guns N' Roses fan, really. I didn't officially meet Slash, but last year we were on tour and I was standing side stage watching the show. It was on the Gary Clark Jr. tour, and had a moment where we're standing there and look over. It's like, oh, that dude kind of looks like Slash. That's weird. Just watching the show, and I looked over again, and he had like the backwards, you know, the trucker cap backward, t-shirt, whatever. I look over, I'm like, I don't know that. And then there was this giant dude standing behind him, who was, he had I don't know, Samoan. I don't want to be that guy that's
Right.
You know, he looked like, you know, but he had the tribal tat thing like all up his arm. Kind of. This was a man who was not to be fucked with. It was very, it was very evident, you know. And then I looked over again. I was like, oh, well, there you go. That's Slash. That's my Slash story.
I just saw on the Gibson website, it says setup is included on these guitars. So,
well,
hey,
there you go.
At least there's that. I just don't understand. Like, I mean, like, you're right. There are a lot of people that are going to want these guitars and are going to buy these guitars. Are they in my generation? A few, but people under us, they don't care. And to me, this is another, and not to just, you know, completely shit all over Gibson, but like another instance of them not moving forward. And like where Fender and stuff, it's like, you know, they're hitting those new people who are playing guitar and keeping that part of the market interested.
Yeah.
Gibson's not.
Well,
they look backwards.
Yeah. So you know why though, right?
Because they have money.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think about, and I agree, right? Like the thing that I would like to see from Gibson is like, I think you can do both. You can do the old thing well, which to be fair, I think they've done. I think with the vintage series, I think great. That's what I was talking about in my rant video a couple years ago. It was like, hey, go back and do this really well at an accessible price. I think they've ticked that box. But also, the thing that's working against them is they are sort of, their brand is like their dad blues boomer guitars.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and which works for me because I think I'm a boomer trapped in a millennial's body.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, you look at Fender and you're right. Fender is doing a much better job of capturing the younger, hipper market, the more current artists. A lot of them are playing Fenders. You don't see a lot of them playing Gibsons. But when you look at what happened to Gibson, Chapter 11 bankruptcy, they brought in new leadership, Cesar, JC. Those guys, their MO is taking companies from financial, on the brink of financial ruin, restructuring them, putting a whole new strategy together to make the company profitable or to liquidate the assets of the company.
Right.
That's what JC pretty much did with Levi's. So what they're doing, and from a business perspective, strictly a business perspective, I think it's smart because they're who's going to spend all that money on guitars? Who's going to buy the custom shop stuff? Who's going to buy the Slash signatures? Boomers.
Yeah.
Who's got the money to spend on that stuff? Boomers. Like, yeah.
Well, and this is something we were actually doing a live stream on Instagram, and Cesar was in the stream, and I was saying, why don't they bring back some of the great student models and do I feel like there's so much untapped potential, and I think some of that's coming. But with the really quirky Epiphone shapes and some of the weird, Gibson shapes, the Melody Maker, there's a lot of cool guitars that you can make affordable and accessible that still has the Gibson name on it, because his whole point is we have Epiphone for that.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want Epiphone. They want Gibson, it's a rite of passage. It's a landmark that you reach in your playing career where you say, I have a Gibson now. And if they had that sort of thing, I think they would do so well with that, and they would enter into an entire new market if they were making quirky, cool guitars that sounded great and looked good, like what Harmony is doing,
Yeah.
That to me is so smart, and there's so much potential there, and that ship is quickly sailing, in my opinion, for Gibson.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think, and I'm speculating here. I think their takeover plan was get cash flow rolling. And when you look at what they've done over the last year, that's what they did. And they targeted their market that had the cash to roll in. They did a lot of these one-off, like the Tony Iommi custom shop thing. They sold all of those for ridiculous money, stupid money. They sold all those things out. They reissued the 50s and the 60s style Les Pauls, the SGs, all that stuff. And I think they were successful in that. They were successful in targeting the older market who wants to reminisce about, the glory days of guitar. And to be fair, I'm glad they did, because I don't, regardless of who's at the helm, I don't want to see Gibson fail, because I love the guitars as they stand. I love Gibson guitars, and I love what that company has done for guitar history and music history. Same thing with Fender.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. The Slash thing, it's they announced it at NAMM, and my thought was oh, again? How many Slash series does this make now?
It just exhausts me. But, and I think you're right. They've done a lot of good for the brand as a whole to bring it back to where it should be. But I think the next step is, where do you take it that ensures that this Gibson legacy doesn't die out when these players do?
Yeah.
I think that's the next step. And that's what I think they need to look to Fender and see what they're doing and emulate it. That's
right.
that's what they did back in the day. That's what they need to be doing now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And the good news is, I think they're listening. Yeah. They're paying attention. I mean, like you said, Cesar was on that stream that day. And we were, we weren't being kind with our words on that stream about what we thought Gibson should be doing. I
felt kind of bad after. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. But they're listening. I've had conversations with those guys, and they, I think at the end of the day, for the most part, they're a business. They want to make money. I mean, Fender wants to do the same thing. And it's interesting. I think people are quick to jump on Gibson for being a corporation and oh, they're just in it for the money or what. It's well, dude, so is Fender.
100%.
You can't get more corporate than Fender. I mean, you talk about why people like John Mayer left Fender, because they're a giant corporation and they function like a giant corporation, right? Any of these companies, they're in it to make money, except for Novo, I think.
Right.
I think Dennis doesn't really give a shit about money. I think he just wants to make guitars. But
that's evident by how many prototypes he's knocking out. I think I've seen some stuff that you probably haven't even seen yet.
No, I have.
Are you sure? From Novo?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyways, we should move on from this subject. Anyway, Gibson, do what you got to do to keep yourself alive, but please, just no more Slash stuff.
Listen to the community. That's the biggest thing.
All right, everyone. Well, I think we just about covered it.
Yeah.
This has been a good episode 6. Thanks to everyone for hanging out in the chat. This has been great. Shout out to Chivalry and Evan and Design Chef and Theory, and Matt, everyone hanging out in here. It's been cool. I like having the live commentary. So if you want to join in while we're taping these live, you can join us up on Patreon, and then you'll join the Rhett Shull Discord server, and then you just send me a direct message saying like, hey, I just joined up, and then you'll get a role so you can have access to the voice channel while we're recording.
Do what he says. I don't know how it works.
Do what he says, man. Just do what he says. Do we have anything to plug?
I don't think so. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Rate us on iTunes. And can you rate on Spotify?
I don't know. Sure, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Just give us a thumbs up wherever thumbs ups are left.
Great. That was great. We're keeping that. All right, everyone. We'll see y'all next week. We love you. We miss you. I'm going to end it. All right.
Bye.